You've probably felt it, that tired heat in your chest after giving more than you had just to keep someone else comfortable. It's like wearing a jacket that's 2 sizes too small, the one that says you must always say yes, always pick up the pieces, always be the strong one. Many of us grew up believing that being a good person means never disappointing anyone, even when it drains us. But let's be honest for a moment. What if the heaviness you've carried isn't from caring too much, but from never being taught that your well-being matters too? What if jumping in to save someone over and over isn't kindness, but a way of shielding them from the hard lessons they need in order to grow? It's a bit like trying to refill someone's cup while yours is already empty. You pour and pour, hoping something will change, and nothing does. No appreciation, no effort, no shift in behavior, just more taking. And still, the world tells you to be nice, to be patient, to keep giving. So maybe the real question isn't whether you should care. You already do. That's who you are. The real question is where your care is going and what it's costing you. Because some people, no matter how much support you offer, only sink deeper into their habits. And the heartbreaking part isn't just that they wear you down, it's that your help keeps them from taking responsibility for their own life. This video is about a simple but necessary truth. You can't save everyone, and you're not supposed to. Today, we'll talk about 6 kinds of people you need to stop sacrificing yourself for, so you can finally protect the peace you've been losing, piece by piece, year after year. Number 1, the person who has stopped trying. You've met them before. We all have. There's a real difference between someone who's fighting their way through a hard season and someone who's quietly decided to let the world carry them. The person who's struggling will use your support like a foothold. They'll push off from it. But the one who's given up will treat your help like a soft place to lie down. Your effort becomes their cushion. And the moment you step in, you become the one holding the weight. Not because they're incapable, but because they've learned, consciously or not, that someone else will always step in. Especially someone like you, someone with a soft heart and a long fuse. Look at how nature works. A bird won't feed a chick that refuses to lift its beak. A tree won't keep sending energy to a branch that never bears fruit. Nature isn't cruel, it's wise. It understands that life can only move forward when there's participation, effort, a reaching toward the sun. People who've stopped trying always have a story. A rough childhood, terrible luck, unfair circumstances. And some of it may be painfully true. But the real question, the one you and I have to ask, is this: what are they doing right now? Are they taking even one small step toward change, or are they waiting for you or someone like you to rewrite their life for them? Because when you keep saving someone who won't save themselves, something quiet but devastating happens. You take away their chance to feel the pride of getting back up. You take away the muscle they build by facing what's hard. You take away the moment they realize, I can do this. Many of us have carried people for years, paying bills, fixing messes, absorbing chaos, and we've told ourselves it was kindness. But kindness that keeps someone from ever standing isn't kindness. It's a soft form of harm, to them and to you. Some people need to feel the discomfort that wakes them up. They need to feel the gap between where they are and who they could be. Because real change doesn't happen when life is easy. It happens the moment staying the same finally hurts more than moving forward. Number 2, the perpetually ungrateful. There are moments in life when you give something of yourself, your time, your patience, a small piece of your own warmth, and it disappears into another person as quietly as a stone slipping into deep water. No ripple, no recognition, nothing that tells you the gift was even received. It can feel strangely haunting, as if you are offering light into a room where no one bothered to turn around. Gratitude, when you think about it, is not merely a social gesture. It is a kind of awareness, a recognition that we are participating in something larger than our own desires. A grateful person sees that any kindness is a moment of grace, not an obligation. And from that recognition, something beautiful grows: humility, connection, a sense of being part of the same human fabric. But the ungrateful person lives behind a different lens. In their world, what you give is not a gift. It is something they were already entitled to. The more you offer, the more they expect. And the more they expect, the less they see. It is a curious paradox. The more you pour into them, the smaller the container becomes. I once knew someone who helped a friend pay rent for 6 months, not out of duty, but out of kindness. Yet each month was met not with appreciation, but with complaint. The apartment wasn't big enough. The neighborhood wasn't nice enough. Life wasn't fair enough. And when the help finally ended, anger rose in place of gratitude, as if the gift had been a contract and the giver had broken it. This is what happens when someone cannot recognize the spirit behind what is given. They do not see compassion. They see an opportunity. They do not see generosity. They see a resource. And when you continue to give to such a person, it is no longer nourishment. It is more like pouring water into a vessel with a hole at the bottom. Nothing grows, nothing takes root, only you become emptier. Life has a way of showing us that appreciation is not about the size of the gift, but the size of the heart receiving it. And when that heart cannot receive, no amount of giving can change it. It can only exhaust you until you finally see that the well was never meant to be filled. Number 3, the arrogant and the self-righteous. There are people in this world who do not come to you seeking help. They come seeking affirmation. They are not interested in what you have learned through your own stumbling and rising. They are only interested in hearing their own beliefs echoed back to them. The moment you offer anything that challenges the story they hold about themselves, they turn away as if you have committed some great offense. Arrogance is rarely a lack of knowledge. It is usually an excess of certainty. These are the people who believe they already see the whole map, while everyone else is wandering in the dark. To question them is to threaten the fragile structure they are standing on. And beneath all that certainty, there is often something much softer: fear. The fear of being wrong, the fear of being exposed, the fear of discovering that the identity they have carefully crafted cannot hold the weight of real life. When a person builds their sense of self on always being right, even a small moment of doubt feels like an earthquake. So they defend, they argue, they talk louder, they shut the door before any fresh air can drift in. You cannot help someone who is committed to remaining unchanged, not because change is impossible for them, but because they have not yet recognized their own need for it. Even the great teachers knew when to step back. They spoke their truth, offered what they could, and then continued on their way. Wisdom cannot be poured into a closed vessel. People like this often need what life eventually gives all of us: a moment where certainty cracks, where pride collapses under its own weight, where the ground rises up a little too fast. And in that moment, something softer appears: humility, curiosity, a willingness to listen. Only when the armor finally breaks do they realize they do not have all the answers. And it is only then that your help, your presence, your insight can finally reach them. Number 4, the habitually harmful. There are times in life when we soften our language to soften our discomfort. We call someone troubled, lost, misunderstood. And often that is true. But there is another truth we hesitate to acknowledge. Some people are not confused at all. They know what they are doing, they know the cost of it, and they choose it anyway. A person who harms others once or twice is simply human. We all stumble. We all act from fear or pain. But a person who harms as a way of moving through the world, who lies as naturally as breathing, who manipulates without hesitation, who wounds without a flicker of regret, is living by a different compass. Their actions are not accidents. They are patterns. And when you step in to help someone like this, something subtle happens. You do not become a guide. You become a tool. Your kindness becomes a resource they can use to continue doing what they already intended to do. Your support becomes a shield that protects their behavior. What you offer does not bring them closer to change. It brings them deeper into the shadows they have chosen. Across cultures and throughout time, wisdom traditions have warned us about this. Not because compassion is unwise, but because compassion without clarity becomes a doorway through which harm can travel. Some paths move steadily toward destruction, and if you try to pull someone off a path they are committed to walking, you often find they grip your hand only to drag you along with them. A person who is habitually harmful does not come to you seeking healing. They come seeking advantage. They want resources, protection, a place to hide their wreckage. And if you step into that role, you are not offering light. You are giving fuel to a fire that will eventually burn everything around it. To care for someone does not mean surrendering your judgment. And to step back from someone who chooses to harm is not a failure of love. It is the moment love becomes wise. Number 5. The incurably foolish. A fool is not someone who lacks intelligence. Intelligence has very little to do with it. A fool is someone who refuses the simple invitation to learn from life. They walk into the same wall again and again, puzzled each time by the bruise on their forehead. They ignore guidance, brush aside experience, and return to the same choices as if repetition might magically produce a different outcome. The distinction between wisdom and foolishness is surprisingly gentle. A wise person listens to what life is trying to say. A fool keeps turning the volume down. What makes this so painful for people like you is that the fool often arrives in a moment of crisis. Their voice trembles, their life is collapsing again, their heart is in pieces again, and the part of you that has always rushed towards suffering stirs. Your instinct is to reach out, to comfort, to rescue. But if you look closely, you begin to notice the pattern. This is not their first emergency, and it will not be their last. They have stood in this same storm many times, each one created by the same decisions they refuse to examine. Someone lifts them up, and they return to the exact place that brought them down. Trying to save a person like this is like throwing a life ring to someone drowning who insists they do not need it. They thrash, they panic, they push it away, and if you jump in after them, they will take you under too. Not because they wish to harm you, but because they cannot yet cooperate with reality. There are lessons only life can teach. There are truths that can only emerge through consequence, through discomfort, through the quiet recognition that something must finally change. And when you intervene too quickly, when you cushion every fall, you remove the very pressure that could awaken them. Stepping back is not coldness. It is trust. Trust in life, trust in consequence, and trust that growth often begins at the edge of pain. Number 6. The master manipulator. Among all the people who drain your energy, the manipulator is often the most difficult to see. They rarely arrive with loud demands or obvious intentions. They come quietly, with stories that tug at your sympathy, with wounds that seem to need tending. They do not take from you by force. They invite you to step forward willingly. A manipulator understands something about human nature. They know that people with soft hearts carry a gentle guilt when they say no. They know that those who care deeply often doubt themselves, and they use that awareness with remarkable precision. They say the words that open your guard. They create the feeling that you are uniquely important to their healing. And soon, without noticing the shift, you find yourself offering more than you meant to. Energy, time, favors you would never give so easily to anyone else. The manipulator does not have a fixed face. They change depending on who is watching. To one person, they are the victim. To the next, they are the brave survivor. To someone else entirely, they are the misunderstood hero. If you ever compare experiences with others, you notice the stories do not line up. The puzzle pieces do not belong to the same picture. Helping someone like this does not lift them. It fuels the machinery of their behavior. It gives them new material for old patterns. And when the day comes that you stop giving, when your vision becomes clearer and the spell loosens its grip, something predictable happens. They turn. They speak as if you betrayed them. They tell others how you abandoned them. They cast you as the very thing they once claimed to fear. Then they move on, searching for their next source of attention, their next well of kindness to draw from. This is the quiet truth. You were never helping a person. You were sustaining a role they needed you to play. And the moment you step out of that role, the entire performance collapses. When you look back at these 6 types of people, a quiet understanding emerges. Not everyone who reaches for your kindness is reaching for growth. Some are reaching for a place to lean, a place to hide, or a place to empty their weight into you. And if you are someone who gives easily, it can take years to see this clearly. You were never meant to rescue everyone. You were meant to offer your compassion wisely, to recognize where your effort helps life unfold, and where it only keeps someone stuck. Helping the right person creates movement. Helping the wrong person drains you until you have nothing left for your own path. This is why discernment matters. It is not cold. It is not unkind. It is the recognition that your energy is limited and sacred. True compassion sometimes means stepping back and allowing life to do the teaching you cannot do for someone else. You can guide. You can shine a light. But every person must walk their own road. They must meet their own lessons. And as you learn this, something in you softens. You stop confusing self-sacrifice with love. You protect your peace as if it was something precious, because it is. You begin to give without losing yourself.